Hi there, I'm Dr. Joel Hunter, and today on Lit Explanations, we are going to be talking about the retina. More specifically, how does a retinal detachment happen? Let's find out. So before we get into how a retina detaches, it's probably worthwhile to talk about what a retina actually is. And so the retina is a part of your eye. It's got kind of a I feel like semi-famous name, and it should, because it's a very important part of your eye. So if we looked at an eye from the side, this is the front of your eye where there's a cornea, there's a lens inside your eye. That lens is hanging off the sides of your eye with these things called zonules. And from where those little zonules are, all the way around, all the way across the back, there is this wallpaper that covers the entirety of the back of that dome. It covers the inner surface. And that wallpaper on the back of your eye is the retina. Now, the retina, it's very impressive wallpaper. It's like much more impressive than the most expensive wallpaper you can buy because it's this extremely fine-tuned extension of your brain. If you follow the layers of your retina back through your optic nerve, it's continuous all the way back until it gets to your brain. It's all a part of the same thing. And so the retina is this very fine-tuned neurosensory tissue. And neurosensory tissue is just tissue that's sensory, it's picking up on details, and it's it's made out of nerves. This just happens to be an impressively fine-tuned version of it that we don't see as well as hawks, but pretty much most other animals, we win in that category. The other thing about neurosensory tissue is that it does not regrow. That's true in strokes and traumatic brain injuries, and that's also true of the retina because it's this neurosensory tissue, and that's what makes a retinal detachment so problematic, because once you've damaged your retina, there's not really a way to piece it back together. There's not really a way to help damaged tissue that's already dead to come back to life. So how does it happen in the first place? So inside here, inside this retina, you've got an optic nerve that's plugged into the back of your eye. That's what carries all the information out. It's like a TV cable. Inside here, there's this stuff that's floating around, and it's called vitreous. And vitreous is this gel-like substance that sloshes around inside your eye. It fills up about 2/3, 75% of the whole globe of your eye, depending on how you measure it. So a lot of it is just this gel. And this gel is attached in a couple of different places. It's this, if you were to take it out of an eye, it's like a jellyfish. It's got a thin wall, a thin covering to it, the gel does. And that wall of the gel, it attaches to the retina in a couple of different places. It attaches here at the optic nerve. There's large blood vessels that travel along your retina. It attaches at those two. And it attaches up here at this junction between these two. This one's called the ora serrata. So anywhere where you have a strong connection between this vitreous gel and between the retina, you have to have it that the strong connection would give way before the retina would if there was ever a competition. Because as that gel is sloshing around, if it ever sloshes enough that it's going to break off, what you want is for the gel to break off of the retina rather than the vitreous that's holding on to it and tears it off of the back of the eye. And when it does that, it's called a retinal tear. So say right here we have a connection that's just a little bit too strong and the gel's sloshing around, it's got this motion to it, it's going back and forth, it's back and forth, and then eventually there's just a little bit too much tension in this one spot. And what happens in this one occasion, this one time? Well, instead of the gel giving way first and breaking off and causing a floater, which is a talk for another time, instead what happens in this case is the retina tears off instead. And this little thing right here is called, uncreatively, a tear, a retinal tear. Interestingly enough, this eye is still fine. It just has a tear out there. You don't even use that retina for anything. So it doesn't really matter if there's a tear in the far periphery. It does matter that you fix it immediately, and I'll tell you why. So at first, when you just see a tear up here, and it's off just a little bit, that's not a problem. But the problem is, this has created an opening. There's a little gap. If you're looking at a retina from the front, with the optic nerve plugged in, these are blood vessels like this, and you have this little tear that's just out here, like this. Well, what happens is, in reality, it's lifted up off of the underlying retina. There's this little hole right here. And that hole can let this vitreous in. It starts to sneak in underneath it. And there's really not much holding your retina to the back of your eye. It's just kind of the pressure of the vitreous doing it. And so it's very easy for the vitreous to start tracking in underneath. And before long, what happens is you have vitreous in all the way under here, and it just keeps sloshing. And it becomes a very, very big deal when you get to this one specific spot of your retina back here where all of your fine-tuned vision is. You lose your vision. And this is when it has switched from being a retinal tear to being a retinal detachment. So it's important, I'm going to come over here because I can't see through my drawing. It's important to go see an eye doctor if you have any of those conditions that you would get, the little symptoms you get from a tear. There's only a couple of them. You can get flashing lights. You can get a bunch of new floaters. And you can also see a curtain. If you see a curtain or a shadow kind of out in your peripheral vision, it's a sign that it's already started to detach a little bit. And you get those flashes because if you tear that retina, if you pull on it, and there's that sensory, neurosensory damage, your retina can't feel anything. It can't feel any pain, but it sure as heck can send you signals of light, and so you'll see these lightning flashes. And if you see a ton of new floaters, it means you might have torn something that's near a blood vessel, or there might be extra particles of retinal tissue that are floating down. The good thing is, pretty much for everybody, if you have a dangerous retinal tear, you will know. If you have a dangerous retinal tear, it's something where you think, well, this probably is a problem with my vision. People that lose vision with retinal tears, they watch the curtain come in over time. There are always exceptions to that rule, but usually retinal tears are slow enough that you can get to a doctor in time. And then what he does is he can just put some laser right at the edge, right here. Put some laser spots there. You've stayed away from the macula, so your macula is still fine. Sure, you might have a little peripheral vision loss, but when you laser that all down, what happens is this barrier laser, it scars it down in that one specific spot, so the fluid can't keep going underneath, and that's how you fix it if you can fix it with a laser. Otherwise, it requires surgery. But again, that's a topic for a different time. I hope this helps to demystify retinal detachments. I hope you have a nice evening. Bonus footage. Oh, you know what? I said if you can't fix it with a laser, then you have to do something else. It doesn't really have to be another video. You know how you fix that? A retina vitreous surgeon will do a procedure called a vitrectomy. And anytime you see ectomy, it means we're taking it out. Like appendectomy, we're taking out the appendix. So you can guess a vitrectomy. We were talking about how your eye is filled with this vitreous fluid, this vitreous fluid in here. They take it out, and then you don't have that stuff sloshing around anymore, and then you can seal the retina down just fine, and then the vitreous isn't trying to get under there anymore. That is the end of today's video.